Y'all see that? Now let's look at our Bible for just a moment, right? Let's and scrutinize it. Yeah. Let's go get the law. Oh yeah. Let's go get the law. Let me tell y'all, fam. Look, we believe in the law of Christ. You feel me? We believe that the law in the Torah, right, has a lot, maybe a little, some of Moses' law that he received from the Most High. What we believe has been tampered with, and we also believe that we misread it, right? Mm-hmm. So the things that Moses wrote, right, was a law and a way to move, right? But also it was their community rule, how they were to move. But we're going to show that right here, right? And we're going to spiritually look at this so-called law of Moses, right? Because remember, they pieced together our material, right? So let's go to Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy chapter 21. We're going to be in the Good News translations for this one right here, right? Deuteronomy chapter 21. We're going to start at verse 10. Y'all check this out, right? This is right here. This read from right there. Concerning women prisoners of war.
Okay. Concerning women prisoners of war. When the Lord your God gives you victory in battle, and you take prisoners, you may see among them a beautiful woman that you like and want to marry. Take her to your home, where she will shave her head, cut her fingernails, and change her clothes. She is to stay in your home and mourn for her parents for a month. After that, you may marry her.
Yo, P, that don't seem that bad. It was a different time. I would feel you, right? But verse 14, read.
Later, if you no longer want her, you are to let her go free, since you forced her to have intercourse with you. You cannot treat her as a slave and sell her.
Wait a minute. That's of the Most High? That's what the Most High told Moses. Let's read that again slow, right? Let's read it slow. Verse 14, baby.
Later, if you no longer want her.
Later, if you no longer want her. Right there. That contradicts Christ. You see, when I tell y'all that we follow the law of Christ, I want y'all to see what we mean. We ain't just coming on here making videos and just telling y'all something. No, we're going to show you in the Bible, right? Right there. That contradicts Christ. If you know the scriptures like we know the scriptures, you know that contradicts Christ right there. Right there, right? When we say our Bible has been tampered with, this is how we prove it, right? With the Spirit, we can discern what is true, right? What is of the Most High? Hold on, man. Yeah. How is it, if you no longer want her, let's see what Christ said, y'all, when it comes to marriage. Con? We're going to Matthew chapter 19, verse 3. We in the Bible, right? Matthew chapter 19, verse 3. Baby, please read.
The Pharisees also came unto him, tempting him, and saying unto him, Is it lawful for a man to put away his wife for every cause?
Is it lawful to no longer want your wife? What did the Messiah respond?
And he answered and said unto them, Have ye not read that which he made? That he which made them at the beginning made them male and female.
In the beginning, he made two. Yatzakad and Kava, Adam and Eve. He made them male and female. The way the Messiah is speaking here, Yatzakad and Kava, Adam and Eve are our examples, right? This is Matthew chapter 19, verse 4. Read that from the top of verse 4 right there.
And he answered and said unto them,
This is the Messiah speaking. Go ahead.
Have ye not read that he which made them at the beginning made them male and female?
So what does that mean, Mozart?
And he said, For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and they twain shall be one flesh.
They three shall become one flesh.
They twain shall be one flesh.
They 4, 5, 6, 7 will become one flesh.
And they twain shall be one flesh.
They twain, right? They two will become one flesh. Y'all can look that up, right? What twain mean. It mean two. That's the doctrine of Christ. So a man was created and a woman was also created for each other because they became one flesh, right?
Right.
You can't be an apple and orange and become one, right? Okay. So what does that mean, Mozart? Verse 4.
Wherefore they are no more twain, but one flesh. What therefore God hath joined together, let not man put asunder.
Read that again.
What therefore God hath joined together, let not man put asunder.
Let no man, let not man break it apart. That means don't do anything that would cause it to break apart. That's a husband and a wife. They are both mankind. Let no man break it apart. Hearing that, do you feel you can just no longer want your wife? I mean, if you follow the doctrine of Christ, the law of Christ. All right, let's keep reading though. Verse 7.
They say unto him, why did Moses then command to give a writing of divorcement and to put her away?
Moses said, the law said, that's what the Pharisees said right there. I ain't making it up. Baby, read that again.
They say unto him,
the Pharisees said to the Messiah, read,
why did Moses then command to give a writing of divorcement and to put her away?
Why did Moses put that in the law? What did the Messiah say?
He saith unto them, Moses, because of the hardness of your hearts, suffered you to put away your wives. But from the beginning, it was not so.
But from the beginning, it was not so. That is not the way of the Most High. The way of the Most High is ancient. Way more ancient than Moses, y'all. You don't even understand why Moses did what he did. Right? That's what Moses said. Again, beautiful Ari. Why did Moses write in their community rule? Because that's what that was. It was for their community, right? Because the Most High did not tell Moses that, right? His community was hard-hearted. But why did Moses put in their community rule that divorce was okay?
He saith unto them, Moses, because of the hardness of your hearts, suffered you to put away your wives. Because of the hardness of your hearts,
That's why he suffered to allow divorce. He was talking to them Pharisees like they was there with Moses because of the hardness of your hearts. This was a community. That was their community rule that is being mixed with Babylonian laws and being called the laws of God. That's what we saying over here. Moses put their community rule together, how their community would function, the community of Israel, right? And because of the hardness of our forefathers' hearts, because of our stubbornness, our stiff-neckedness, right? Because we were so stiff-necked, couldn't nobody tell us nothing. We thought we already knew. Moses wasn't the king, y'all. No, he wasn't the ruler of Israel. Righteous communities are not supposed to have a king. They have a council. The council could not agree on the sanctity of marriage. That's what Moses said. Verse 8 again.
He saith unto them, Moses, because of the hardness of your hearts, suffered you to put away your wives. But from the beginning, it was not so.
But from the beginning, it was not so. We have to analyze this so-called law of Moses. We talked about this in our last episode. Element and how it was hijacked by witchcraft. We talked about how not every community is the same. There at Kodeshi have their council, right? Agency, right? The right to choose. that community has their council agency, the right to choose. Even, let me say that, I said that wrong, y'all. My bad. I said the Era Kodeshi give every council, Motza gives every council their agency, right? They give them the right to choose, even if they choose wrong, because of the hardness of our hearts. Even if we choose wrong, they're going to let us do that. So Moses allowed divorce. He just agreed because they weren't trying to hear it. But what does the Messiah have to say about the matter, though, right? Oh, no. Is he about to contradict the law of Moses? The Pharisee just quoted the law of Moses to the Messiah. He ain't say you are misunderstanding the law. He didn't say that. He told them why it was done. So that law in the Bible has been affirmed by Christ. Christ just admitted that Moses said that, right? But Christ said that ain't come from the Most High. That ain't come from God. He just said that. It came from Moses, just agreeing with wicked Israelites. Yes, it's wickedness to just no longer want your wife. It ain't the sanctity of marriage. So we know that the word of the Messiah supersedes the law of Moses, because we now know, right, from staying in the Bible alone, not all of the so-called law of Moses is inspired by God. Christ just said that. So who has your authority? Christ or Moses? Because Christ had full authority in Moses' life. Not everyone in Moses' community was called by the Spirit. That's why we have a new covenant. Y'all see this? Because everyone in the communities of Zion in the last days will know the Lord for themselves. The Father's going to put his communities together this time. So when we come together, we will agree on the same foundations. The first foundation of Shabuah is the sanctity of marriage. The new covenant ensures we will become together in agreement with these values. You hear me? It's 100. I ain't got to argue about a lot of things. I'm not. But I will speak with authority. You feel me? And the authority I'm going to speak with, multiple wives, is not of the Most High. It's not the sanctity of marriage. Putting away your wife for anything other than sexual immoralities, right? Sexual misconduct, with adultery. Nah, you did it wrong. You're doing it wrong, right? That's what Christ said. But the law said something different. Because we will all be led by the Spirit. That's what the new covenant said. Do you see why it's only a remnant? All this starts to make sense, man. So what does the Messiah say about the matter, right? Is he about to contradict the law of Moses, right? Let's read.
And I say unto you, whoever shall put away his wife, except it be for fornication, and shall marry another, committeth adultery. And whoso marrieth her, which is put away, doth commit adultery.
That is the gospel of Christ. Read that again.
And I say unto you, whosoever shall put away his wife, except it be for fornication, and shall marry another, committeth adultery. And whoso marrieth her, which is put away, doth commit adultery.
The Messiah vetoed that law. Presidential, you did. So we know that law in the 613 is not a law we should follow. That divorce part, right? Nah. Only the part that aligns with what the Messiah said. Followers of Christ have got to believe and agree on that error in the law. Right? And we now understand the error. Moses' community was hard-hearted. That's why it was made. You know, the stony flesh. Yeah. So in order for that community to survive, that concession was made. The first foundation. Did our nation stand? When we From the beginning, we conceded the first foundation of Shabuah. That's what we just read here. Goodness. What did some of the Messiah students say? Verse 10.
His disciples say unto him, if the case of the man be so with his wife, it is not good to marry.
Do you see how that mindset carried on all through Israel? And they used the law of Moses to justify it. Remember, the Pharisees brought these questions. But the Messiah's own student said that last line. Read that again.
His disciples say unto him, if the case of the man be so with his wife, it is not good to marry.
If this is the way, it ain't good to marry. That's what the disciples said. So now the Messiah has to teach, right? What was his response, Ari?
But he saith unto them, all men cannot receive this saying, save they to whom it is given.
You gotta have the spirit to understand this, baby. That's what he said. Verse 11 again.
But he saith unto them, all men cannot receive this saying, save they to whom it is given.
The Messiah already knew everybody wasn't going to receive this. The flesh a problem, man. The Messiah already knew everybody wasn't going to receive this. Who are we to argue this with folks? If the Messiah knew everybody wasn't going to receive this. He knew everybody wasn't going to have the spirit. Y'all remember this word from the beginning? To discern this. It's all about the spirit, baby. That's the new covenant. Everyone won't receive this. But to his disciples, he still teaches. Read.
For there are some eunuchs which were so born from their mother's womb.
Some men were born eunuchs, right? Birth abnormalities. Okay, read.
And there are some eunuchs which were made eunuchs of men.
You know, back in the day, the king would have a man eunuch. You know, he made him a eunuch because he was his wife's servant. Let me say it like that. The king would make a man a eunuch because he was his wife's servant, and he ain't want him going up in his wife. My bad, but y'all know what I'm saying. So these would be ones made eunuchs by a man. But that ain't the only reason ones could be made a eunuch. That's just one example, right? Read.
And there be eunuchs which have made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake.
Read that again.
And there be eunuchs which have made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake.
Their wives might have passed on. The ancients understood that every man had one woman created for them, right? So if something happened to their spouse, wife or husband, the real righteous one, they then became a eunuch for the heaven's sake. You see that? You know, so that they are not committing adultery. Marriage is an eternal covenant. Read.
He that is able to receive it, let him receive it.
Let the Spirit bear witness to you, right? That's what the Messiah said. Now let's read again what the law is saying about a woman once they're sexually assaulted. That's what it said, right? This is Deuteronomy chapter 21, verse 14. Read that again.
Later, if you no longer want her, you are to let her go free, since you have forced her to have intercourse with you.
Since they what?
Since you have forced her to have intercourse with you.
The so-called law of Moses condones this. Read that again and finish out the verse. In fact, just read all of verse 14.
Later, if you no longer want her, you are to let her go free, since you forced her to have intercourse with you. You cannot treat her as a slave and sell her.
That is the law of man. You're me. But that's my discernment. I don't believe the Father condone any type of sexual misconduct. That is another law I question. But let your spirit bear witness to you, right? But when you see us saying the law has been tampered with, or when you hear me saying the so-called law of Moses, this is one of my evidence. How they say, Exhibit A.